So back on board Ruby, and we have a leak. So, I'm not sure whether you can see this, we can see far enough at the front there. But there's water there, and it's coming from those two bolts right at the back, which obviously I can't get to from here, but there is a little metal panel under there, so I'm going to take that off and see what's there. Let's see what's below. That's what you call not a sharp chisel. Well, that's not very easy to get at. They are two very big bolts. There's a metal plate over it. Okay, I'm going to investigate that. Right, well, it turns out that those two nuts, that one especially, was loose. So rather than taking it all off, that one was slightly loose, I've tightened them up. So all we do now is wait for the tide to come in and keep our fingers crossed. We'll have a look when the tide's in. Right, so now we've decided, I've now tightened those two bolts up. Just got to wait for the tide to come in. It's still going out. So the next job is the windows. And I know that this one is leaking. Definitely. They've all been caked in silicone. All the nuts and everything just caked in it. So I'm going to take those off, clean it all up. I think on the other side that's all been patched up with all sorts of stuff here, even the hardboard up here. I don't know what that's about, but I'll take the windows out and get them all cleaned up and see if there needs any repair, and then refit them all I'll refit these two anyway, and possibly the one in the forepeak, although I don't think that's leaking. I need a good shower of rain, and then all this has got to be cleaned up. Take out all this insulation stuff that he's put in. For what reason I don't know, but it's just a mess. Take all that out and paint the whole thing right through. Just brighten it all up. Revarnish all the wood. A lot of all this wants sanding down. Over this side, the basin cover here definitely needs sanding on the sides. Revarnish it all. Just brighten it all up. So anyway, we'll get on and take this window out. That's all the nuts off. So now I'm going to try and get screws out. On the outside. Somehow. Not sure how much at this moment in time how much you got of that, because the SD card on the other camera is full. Anyway, I've got the window out and it is a mess. It's all silicon, and it's all silicon on the inside as well. Right mess. And one of the internal strips is broke. But it's broken on a screw hole, so I might be able to rescue it. I certainly don't want to be buying new windows, but it's all just a mess, just silicone everywhere. So I've got all this to clean up, and then we'll see if we can refit it. I've got it all cleaned up. Looks a different window. You can actually see through it. Got most of the edge cleaned off all the way around. Looking good. Cleaned off the front as best I can. So it's going to look a lot better. I don't know, I'm going to do that big hole I've drilled there for some reason. I'll put a bigger bolt in. And got the inside ones cleaned off as best I can. A bit bent. Certainly a lot better than they were. Got rid of the majority of the silicon, and then looking on the outside, got that all nice and clean. can't see what I'm showing you. I think you can see it. And taped up, ready for Sikaflex. So that's the next job. Let's get it in. We are back on Ruby again this morning, and we'll have a look at the window. I made one mistake, but it's in, and it rained overnight, and it's not leaked. That's a bonus. The outside, I masked off the hull, but I forgot to mask off the frame, so I let it set overnight, and then I've cut around the edge with a knife. It's not perfect, but when I can get better access to it, I'll trim that up a bit better. But it's a better job. The window's clean, the frame's clean, just a bit of tidying up to do. So we'll start on the other one. I've been and got some new bolts for the other side. There's quite a few missing. I rubbed some for that one I've done, so that's all got to come out, cleaned up and put back in again. Remove all that horrible green. Tides are going down, we're nearly sitting on the bottom, so I can get rid of the ladder and get that cleaned up and refitted. As for the two bolts in the rear, I'm not sure you can see on this, but that was the one that was leaking, and it's a little bit damp around it. But if we look inside, where I normally take out about a cupful of water, there's next to nothing. See, there's still dampness coming down there. It's from there's the bolt at the back there. So I need to get a fibre washer for that one nut, which they didn't have in the size I wanted, so it's a trip to a good old B&Q, I guess, at some point. But I want to get this window done first today, so we'll concentrate on getting that out. Right, so I've got the window out, and I was concerned as to why there was hardboard all the way around it, wedged in and taped by the look of it. There's nothing wrong with the hull, it's solid, so we can put it back as it should be with plenty of Sikaflex. A lot of cleaning up to do. Not as much on the outside of the inner piece, if that makes sense, but there's a lot on the inside, all this hardboard to get off, but the inside is pretty clean. So we'll get all this hardboard off, get it all cleaned up, get the frame cleaned up, which is a bit grotty. The glass especially, yeah, it's silicone wedged in everywhere, look. Not good. So we'll get rid of that and clean it up. All done. That went well. It's pretty well cleaned up on the inside. Looks a lot better than having that hardboard. I think that hardboard that was around the edges was what was left from the lining. But all that's getting painted anyway, sanded and painted, so it'll look alright. And on the outside, I'll tidy in the other one. Masking tape round. It's given a decent edge anyway. Masking tape left there. Difficult to see. Much better. There we go. That's it for today. Back tomorrow. Oh, the leak that I had down there, it's all it is wet now. There's nothing coming in. There's nothing down here, just a bit of dampness. But I'm going to take that, I think I showed this earlier on. Anyway, take that bit of take that last nut off where it's leaking from and put a fibre washer under it. That's tomorrow's job. So tidy's now coming in. So is the rain. Back tomorrow. Well, another day, but I'm not going to get any more done today because there's a right old easterly coming in. Move Ruby forward a bit, more lines on it. Not sitting very well, but that's going to be all the work done for this week. So I'm just waiting for it to settle completely, leaning over a bit, but safe enough, I think. I'm supposed to move it back onto its original berth today, but I can't do that in this wind. I get blown out the harbour. Anyway, we'll have a look at the sea, and that'll be it for this week. So that's the sea at the moment, and it's only the start of it. It's going to get a lot worse. And it's low tide. Oh, it's getting towards low tide anyway. There's Ruby sitting down there. Not sitting too bad. As I say, that's it for this week. We've got probably another beast from the east coming in. We've got a forecast of gusting 50 knots. So, see you next week.